I did not get any sleep tonight. That happens when the sun rises at 5 in the morning and you have to drive all the way across the state and hike a mountain. But this morning's sunrise should be a good one. It's in Western Mass, a mountain called Mount Sugarloaf. I first heard about Hiram's tomb during a recent winter hike in the Westfield River Valley of Massachusetts. To learn that some eccentric spent his life fortune on his own gravestone spoke to me and called on me to return. So after the winter thaw, I did just that. Only this time I'm bringing my camera, and I also want to explore the same town's other major treasure, an abandoned railroad. The town is Chester, Massachusetts. I'm at the trailhead for Hiram's tomb in Chester, Mass. Amazingly, Google Maps knows the location of this place. I'm not sure how. The hard part is just finding a place to park. As you can see, I kind of have to just park on the side of the road. The trailhead is noticeable, though. It's right here. Hiram's tomb is it's pretty unusual grave marking of someone who died, I believe, in 1868. He was a Chester resident. Let me lock my car here for a second. But yeah, he was a Chester resident known as an eccentric, and he wanted to be buried not covered by mud. So he stipulated he be buried inside a rock, a giant boulder. And he paid someone $700 at the time, which I believe is $55,000 in present day cash, 2021 dollars, to have a tomb chiseled out inside this giant boulder. And then he was put in there, and then they cemented and slabbed it over. Yeah, kind of crazy. I've never been to it, but I've been wanting to check it out for a while. It's deep in the back roads of Chester, which is one of my favorite places in Massachusetts. But yeah, so far the trail is pretty well marked. So let's check it out. I got to a point in the trail where I'm encountering these giant boulders. I'm assuming one of them must be the tomb. It's not that one though. I don't see any markings on it. There's another one coming up here. Looks like there's a bunch more coming up. Odd place to find boulders. I never know how they get to the tops of mountains like this. But you can see there's one right here. I'm gonna go check it out. This might be it. Here we go. This is it. The grave of Hiram Smith, born September 2nd, 1794, died February 21st, 1873. He lived to a decent old age. And Isabel something good, Todd Good, died 1899. I wonder if she was also buried here. But taking a step back, you can kind of see how this was done. I thought they would have cut out the top of the rock, but they kind of cut out an outline and dug into the stone. I guess on their straight lines. I'm not sure how they even cut stone back in the 1870s. But yeah, he's buried in there. They slabbed it over with granite and sealed it with concrete. It's kind of nuts. I'm heading back to my car from Hiram's tomb. You can probably hear a train in the background. You hear that? So the train that runs from Boston to Chicago runs right through Chester, and there's a stretch of it along the Westfield River that was abandoned. It was built in the late 1830s, but abandoned thereafter and moved to the other side of the river. There's a trail there called the Keystone Arch Bridges. It's the main reason I came to the area today. It is a fantastic trail. While the light is still good, I'm gonna go there next, and I'm gonna bring you guys along because you are gonna love this place. For people who like trains and abandoned stuff and hiking, this is one of the best trails in New England. All right, hopefully nothing happened to my car on the side of the road up here. Let's see. The trailhead for the Arch Bridges is on this beautiful mountain road. You can hear the Westfield River roaring in the background. There's this placard at the trailhead that tells you a little bit of history of the bridges. So there are a total of 5 bridges originally built in 1839 to 1840. 4 of them still stand. Only one of them is still used by the railroad. It's worth reading the history of this because it's really fascinating. These were actually the first railroad bridges built through the mountains in the United States of America, and they're so beautiful. The trail actually continues down this little old ATV path. So let's head on down, check it out. This here is the first of the bridges. This one is actually a double arch bridge. It's the only bridge still used by the railroad. If you love waterfalls, then there are plenty of them that crisscross the trail. You can see this one right here. There's the Westfield River there. This will eventually need to have a drainage system put in here, otherwise this is going to destroy the trail. Now, right up here, we're going to go through a river bend right here, and there's a little side path you can see with some fascinating history behind it. I'm going to take us up there. Let's take a look. This dirt road once was the driveway for the complex up ahead that now lies in ruins. What it was and why it was never fully completed is a rather dark story. In 1963, a wealthy art collector from New Jersey named Charles Farmer discovered this cove and became determined to build a refuge here. I've heard it referred to as an artist colony, a cultural center, even a commune. We'll never know its intended purpose because on September 18, 1963, Farmer encountered his wife on the second floor with her attorney, and in what his lawyers described as a paranoid state, shot and killed his wife, possibly attempted to kill her attorney too, and then attempted suicide, though he failed. The case went to trial, and believe it or not, Farmer was found not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. From what I can gather, he lived the rest of his life a free man in Connecticut. But this complex, it was left here to go to ruin, haunted, now used as target practice or a target for curious explorers like myself. You can see here how the trail mostly just parallels the Westfield River. And as we come around this turn is my favorite of the bridges. This one, we'll take a better look. I don't know if you can see it from here, but it's a steep drop to the ground. It must be 70 or 80 feet high. Let's check it out. So on this next bridge, you can see where we started down here. There's that first double arch by the parking lot. There's the abandoned artist colony. And we're coming down right here. There's a little bit of more info about these bridges, how they were built in 1839, which is crazy to me. I hiked down a little bit so we can get a better look at this bridge. You can see how sturdily this was built in the late 1830s without the use of any mortar whatsoever. It's all just rocks and gravity. You can see the actual Keystone for which it's named right at the top of the arch there. So let's walk out on this bridge a little. And if we're lucky, we might even catch a train going by on the new railroad bed that's across this little river right here. You can still hear that train in the background. You can see how in this original line they had to cut through this granite embankment here. The rock walls are probably a good 70 feet high. You can see why the railroad bed was moved to the other side of the river. There's actually a waterfall coming right between that col, going through a culvert right underneath that train. I can imagine on this side, the washouts must have been much more violent because the hillside here is much steeper than over on that side. We're standing in the middle of that fourth arch bridge. So I love the view from this bridge. You can see that's where we came from, upstream down there. And if you look on the other side, I don't know if I can get a good view here. That hillside is really, really steep. It's amazing that they were able to build this rail line so steeply against the edge of the mountain. This right here is the fifth and final arch on the trail. It's also where the old rail bed and the new rail bed reconnect. This one is actually made of concrete. You can see, and there's the ruins of the original Keystone Bridge. That was built in 1840, completely destroyed by rapids. And they replaced it with this new concrete one. I say new, that's actually, I believe, about 110 years old. So that's an antique itself. There's a better look at that new concrete bridge and the ruins of the old one. And on the other side, you can see some abandoned cars. That one at the top looks like a 1950s Studebaker. That one at the bottom, not sure. I'm back at this bridge. This is where I'm gonna shoot sunset tonight and hopefully catch a train passing. I've already been here quite a ways, but you know, waiting for the subject to come through is half the fun.